And these killings I think are a lot more up close and personal, and probably a little more vicious than just doing it, not just, but than doing a drive by, or the rat tat 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 tat, that kind of thing. Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. Today we're reacting to Zone 2, No Censor. And before we get to that, I just want to thank our Patreon subscribers and our YouTube subscribers and everybody following us on Twitter. We are going to have a program once we get to 100 Patreon subscribers. We're going to use some of that money to get some of these people who are in jail on very low bail. And here's the thing that's kind of cool about this. Say you have somebody that's just in jail on $500 bail and they can't get out. So we're going to post that bail for them. And then when they get out, that bail money will be assigned to them. So that's money in their pocket. So that's one of the reasons for the Patreon subscription. So you will actually be responsible for doing some good. So if we wind up getting, once we get to 100 subscribers, and we'll let you know when we are, and then we'll let you know what good we can do with that money. So it's not just going into my pocket. Today we're going to react to Zone 2, No Censor. On this channel, all we've done so far is basically music out of Chicago, so it'll be interesting to see the similarities and the differences. So without further ado, here's Zone 2, No Censor.
It's the engineer, baby.
If we don't talk about drills, they won't love no more. Ned just wanted a cheeseburger. Max, what you do that for? No cast juice gets spilled on the floor. Now you done started a war. No ping pong gang cutting you bird just back and forth. In just my seedings, head on the floor.
To begin with, you'll see that they're wearing face coverings as opposed to the Chicago ones that we've reviewed. They don't have the Chicago gangs. They don't really give a shit about how they're depicted, and they want everybody to know it. In this video, you can tell that they really have taken great lengths to conceal their identity. Okay, and then here he talks about knockouts. Knockout is a gang, a rival gang in the UK, and he talks about Cheeseburger, and he talked about a murder that happened at a McDonald's where Knockout Ned, his juice gets spilled on the floor, and juice here refers to blood. So they're talking about a murder, and one of the things in the UK, these gangs, they use knives a lot more than they use guns.
Front line, nobody can cross it. You can get you, but nobody can walk it. L2, R2, now GB in a casket. Forensics setting up tents.
See, look at everybody's face is covered. Everybody's face is covered. There isn't a single face that you can see. So, from that standpoint, they're a little more protected. This line is interesting because he says, now GB in a casket. GB is a rival gang member. In a casket, dead. Forensics setting up tents. Now them Huffy, white chocolate. In other words, the forensic team has come. They've set up a tent around the crime scene, and they used a chalk to outline the body to see how the body was positioned at the time. And same thing we do here.
In Cook got put in a spliff. GB got put in a spliff. FC got put in a spliff. No CJ got put in a spliff. OT nearly got put in a Riz. Pool nearly got put in a Riz. Nice.
You hear that? You hear that at the end of each one of these? This is a little bit like the 50 Dead Offs, where he names off all these different people that put in a spliff. In other words, they got killed. And if you hear at the end of each one of their names, you hear a coin sound. Like they just scored a point. That's kind of cold. They're scoring points by killing people. And then he says, we bored this bro, bored him in the wig. Bored him in the wig means he stabbed him in the head. So you can see they use a lot more knives and stabbings as opposed to guns. They still use guns occasionally, but it's more stabbings and using knives. Now, in the United States, you're not going to get the mandatory minimum sentence with a knife that you would with a gun. In fact, if you are charged in federal court with, say, a drug conspiracy and you have a gun in relation to that drug conspiracy, that adds 5-year mandatory minimum consecutive, or means you have to do that 5 years after you're done with your drug sentence, as opposed to just having a knife.
Your mono fib, should've got put in a split. Aye, remember when I brought up, had a smile on my face that was funny as shit. Cause I had a big man screaming out mummy, nowhere near where's mumsy lives.
My blade hit his chest plate, next day swear I had his best friend running. I don't beat up ramps in probation, he shouldn't have pushed my button. Why do you think that they call me Judas? I laugh and giggle, my dead up cousin.
He says, why do they call me Judas? That's because he's rejoicing about the murder of his cousin, who was a rival Moscow 17 gang member, which is a rival to the Zone 2 that is the author of the song.
He thinks he doesn't trust me, gun don't shaft that bus. I'm trying to see the ops get shot, same way GB don't got got. Oh, how CJ don't got dropped, surely that man has had enough.
See, they talk about ops just the same way that the Chicago drill music does. Isn't that just I think it's absolutely fascinating to know that something that started in Chicago quite a long time ago is now being exported and copied by people in the UK. So they're using the same terms, ops and bangers and the like.
So I out here trying to put another in a box and I'm beat up Jimmy before he turn dust twins and Lowski, watch nags get chopped. On the right road past that hammer, rock and roll to the drum, Mick Jagger. It don't matter, 21 years through bro and root up glamour. If I scratch this shoot, no mask, then it's back.
21 years, he's talking about somebody doing 21 years in prison for a murder. Most murders, if it's a murder one, and I would suspect it's different in the UK because they don't have the death penalty in the UK like we do in the United States, but they do have varying degrees of murder. And if you're going to go kill an op with premeditation is actually what it takes for a murder one case, and that's either life in prison without the possibility of parole, or it's the death penalty in certain states.
Slam off, social banger. If I scratch this shoot, no mask, then it's back to the slam off, social banger. Choose rise up things, swing that shit. I know his intent was murder. Reverse that whip, it might be fliz, but
hear that? He says, I know his intent was murder. So if your intent is murder, that's murder one. And intent is a real concept in criminal law that you've got actus reus, that's the act itself, and then mens rea, the thought that's behind the act. And the mens rea in a lot of these cases is what drives the severity of the offense. So, like, for example, murder with intent is first-degree murder, and it's the intent as opposed to killing somebody and you didn't intend to kill them. The difference between those two is vast.
and burn that drip. Me LV jailhouse pistol, cutting man up and swing off fist. And I saw my life, even guns got hit that day that we got down Chris.
Rage, got smoke like it's damn, and it dead got splash, come round like damn. Same day, loose, got bored in his block. Try to dash, they shouldn't go.
He said, same day loose, that's Loose Crew. It's another rival gang member from the Moscow 17. He got bored on his block. In other words, he got stabbed on his block. And, these killings I think are a lot more up close and personal, and probably a little more vicious than just doing it, not just, but than doing a drive-by or, the rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat, that kind of thing.
Ain't got one at the house, he rapping, you jumped off third floor, we got your lad. Ain't got a suitcase and we be packing like tiny nose like these flesh in our shanks. Yo, ask when I slap that lead, they're lucky I missed, should've turned man pack. Fuck these ratchets, I need me a hot girl, would've thought that her name's Katie Pam. The boy got slapped till it wasn't with hands. Things all pets, so I'm into my land. Rep free, signs free, grab the 9, let it bang. If I see any grades, I'm pissing on that. Yo, the con got bored in his arm real quick, cause the boy tried to cover his tizak. Mars got chef by the W Street, you say it was me that did that. Rage is dead, SK's dead. Oh, now none of us man been packed. Right for laps. Onsite got onsite. Oh, now he ain't been.
So Onsite is another gang member. That's his name. And if he got unsighted is another word for attacked immediately, like on-site attack. And that's what they're talking about here. the culture of these gangs, whether it's in UK or in the United States, Chicago, LA, wherever the gangs are, it's really largely based on territory. And these two gangs, well, and the Spartan gang, they all kind of had their own little turf. And there's a line in the song where you can slide through, but you can't walk through. In other words, you can drive through no problem, but if you try to walk through, you're going to get attacked.
About 5 old gangsters beefing. They either been shot or stabbed. I try to drill it on a circle, you up close, you shade at a hunting jab. Yo, them man act for the Snapchat, them man are nothing without their dads. I went PS just shot at the 9, now man's doing on cheeky snaps.
Biggs the engineer, baby.
Biggs the engineer, baby. Well, that was Zone 2, No Censor. And I want to thank you for subscribing. Thank you for your support on Twitter. And let's get those Patreon numbers up there so we can get some people out of jail. Would really like your comments. And let me just tell you a couple things. We've had a couple of negative comments. I know it's hard to believe, but we've had a couple of negative comments. First, I am not a Fed. I am a criminal defense lawyer. I am an absolute defender of those who are in need of a good defense. And I've been doing this for 23 years, and I believe in what I do. I love going to trial. I love putting somebody's life back together. That's what I do. People talk about, what my motivation is for this channel. Well, I just think it's amazing how much social media there is out there where people put their own crimes on Facebook, on Snapchat, that kind of thing. And so I started watching these videos, through these rap videos, where they are unbelievably talking about crimes that they've committed, and it just struck me, that this would be something to, I don't know how you put it, but to comment on. I'd like to see them not do it. To be honest with you, first of all, I'd like to see them not commit crimes. I'm not pro-crime. But I'm pro-defense. So if you're going to do a crime, I don't want you to get caught. And if you're self-snitching, that's the worst. Then there's nothing I can do. There's nothing a lawyer can do. We can't change the facts. So this has been Criminal Lawyer Reacts. Bruce Rivers, board-certified criminal defense lawyer. So remember to subscribe, follow us on Twitter, and let's get those Patreon numbers up there. Get some people out of jail.
There we go. This is going to be a very good video.